Welcome to the Kalispell Warhawks Dynasty. My name is MrHurriicane. Today we're going to recap the second season of the series and also set the stage for the upcoming off-season, which will be streamed live on my channel this Saturday, and the link to the stream is down below in the description. The event is already set up. But I wanted to first open today's video by talking about our recruiting class thus far and how that's going to help us going into year 3. We're going to begin by going through our recruiting class and the players we have committed so far. I also have an update from Blackjack after I'm finished. But I feel like this is a really strong second recruiting class for us. And mind you, last year we had the 101st ranked recruiting class, and right now we're 51st. We have 2 4-star prospects, and we've addressed a lot of weaknesses on the team. So let's go through individually here and look at these players that will be in our second recruiting class for Season 3. Beginning with Fargo tackle Sean Gallagher, a 2-star pass blocker, and we have to get better, obviously, up front. That's one of the best ways to improve your football team, is to win in the trenches, and this was a perfect fit to get Sean Gallagher. And my big concern here with Sean Gallagher is his impact blocking. He might not be able to hold up for a long time in pass protection, although he does have good pass blocking and strength. So that's going to be something to keep an eye on, and it will affect how much playing time he would get. I think the commit we're most excited for at this point has to be Ja'Cory Zay, the 5'9", 180-pound wide receiver from Spokane, Washington. Now, he adds a speed element to our offense that hasn't really been there. Great acceleration and agility, might be a great return specialist, also heavily used on offense next year. I am concerned a bit about his hands, so he's not that sure-handed receiver that we're definitely looking for at this point, but there are ways to use his abilities, whether it's on handoffs or in the return game on screen passes, where he's going to be a very important player for us next year. We have 2 tackles so far in the recruiting class, as we were able to edge out Colorado State for Andre Scott from Texas, a 3-star tackle prospect, looking for playing time, and he can get that here. He's another good pass blocker, not as strong as Sean Gallagher maybe, but his impact blocking is better, and I would look at a competition between those two to see who can get maybe the right tackle spot with Stuart Andrews graduating after this year. One player who could get a lot of playing time as a true freshman is cornerback Malcolm Tyson, a 6-foot, 189-pound 3-star player, and we had great competition from USC and Fresno State, but got the commitment pretty early in season. Now, when you look at his skill set, what stands out to me is just his overall coverage ability. I think that's a big upgrade over our current talent pool. While he's not overly fast, I mean, he has adequate speed, I would say. He's not very strong, not a good tackler whatsoever, but we're looking to help clamp down on those throwing windows, get turnovers, break up passes, so Tyson could get a lot of playing time if he's ready. One of the big signings for us this year was Kelly John Charles from Kalispell, Montana. Now, he was ranked the number 2 overall free safety, and I think that he was a little overrated. Don't tell him that. But he is talented, and at 6'2", 205, that's a good frame to work with. And regarding his skill set, he has range. If he wants to be a single high safety or that free safety in a cover 3, I think he can cover enough ground. But I'm not sure his coverage instincts will allow him to really take full advantage of that speed quite yet. I actually think he's quite raw, but with some time, if he's patient and progresses, he could turn into a very good free safety, but I'm not sure as a freshman that he's much more than an athlete at this point. Another offensive lineman we got a commit from was Craig Ward from Idaho, and we beat out Idaho in the recruiting battle. Now, I don't think he'll play very early in his career. He'll be probably redshirted his freshman season and hopefully develop into a capable guard, but probably not one who's going to be a top-tier talent. Kelly John Charles might be the number 2 safety on paper, but I think Shannon Evans is a better player right now. He's ranked number 13 and was also from the state of Montana, so good for us to get some products from our own state. 6'3", 188, great size for a free safety. And if you look at his skill set, while not as rangy as Kelly John Charles, I don't think that he has a deficiency in speed. He's a great tackler, great hitter, and I think a better cover safety right now than Kelly John Charles. All John Charles has on him right now is just overall athleticism and raw speed. So I think Evans has a much better chance to play early, although I think TJ Garner is a good player and Otis Frazier has turned into a pretty good box safety. I focused a lot on the secondary in this class so far, and Jameel Butler was another corner that we got a commitment from. Only 5'10", 160, so we're not exactly getting the biggest corners or the best tackling corners. Again, this is another cornerback who's not going to be that player that comes up in run support and makes those big plays. He's a good athlete, faster than Malcolm Tyson, and he's a good zone cover corner. I just worry about that size, and especially if we have multiple cornerbacks that are going to be liabilities in run defense. That's something I have to really weigh and deal with next year. I've wanted to upgrade this pass rush, and we got John Coleman from California. 3-star prospect, 6'3", 267, and right now he does not have a well-developed skill set. He is a good finesse rusher, but not a phenomenal athlete at the same time. So I think he needs time to develop as a player and eventually could be a sub-package pass rusher. Another D lineman was Brandon Leak, 6'4", 270. And I think that he's going to be mainly more of a nose tackle type for us. He's not very fast. He's not going to close a lot of distance, but hopefully he can help collapse some pockets and take up some space. I had to save the 4-star Roscoe Sheridan for last, as the 5'11", 220-pound running back will be a welcome addition to our offense next year. I was surprised that other teams weren't going after him, and he was a player that really just wanted to go get playing time, and we're close enough to his home to where we got the commitment. Now, his skill set is quite interesting for a 5'11", 220-pound back. He's not an overpowering runner, and he's not slow. He actually has pretty good speed and acceleration and agility, and I'm not sure how many yards he's really going to get after contact. He's not going to run over a lot of defenders. And at the same time, that carrying at 74 does worry me. Not sure he's going to be a good pass blocker or pass catcher, so probably an early down running back. So for you Sammy Hawthorne fans, I do think that as a pass catching back, he's still going to have a good grasp on that role next year. You also see a lower injury rating here than normal at only 81, and Blackjack, in a couple of updates from him, he's going to talk more about this, as Roscoe Sheridan had some injury troubles in high school. So that is a good run through of our current recruiting class, and now I want to turn things over to Blackjack for his update, and then we'll continue on with the recap.
Glad to be back and talking about the recruiting trail for Warhawk football. And again, I have to say, an amazing job in picking up a home run like Ja'Cory Day. Now, I really wish we could have gotten Brock Oxendine, but that wasn't in the cards. I mean, a lot of schools were all over him, and UW made sure nobody else was touching him. And Hunter Clayton is a recruiting battle I thought we should have won and didn't. But again, great job picking up Day and Sheridan. Really shocked that nobody went after either guy. No offers for Day especially, and I think that he's going to be an asset from day one. He's going to make a lot of people regret not picking him up, so I think we were the smart ones here to go ahead and take a chance on him. Somehow, he looks even faster this year. I don't know if it's the new uniforms that Spokane has this year, but man, the acceleration and the speed, still there. A 7-touchdown game in this one that you're seeing right now, and they've used them in so many different ways this year. You saw him there in the Wildcat, handing it off to the halfback, throwback screen to Day, using that patented backspin there to shake off a defender, and has enough recovery speed and acceleration to make sure that the defenders trying to come back in on him had no shot. Watch here again, beating the corner, safety playing way too shallow, back of the end zone, touchdown, way too easy for Day. And then again here, Wildcat formation, doesn't even bother on the option there, just keeps it himself because he has the speed, doesn't need the juke, dives in, touchdown. He's got an axe to grind and a lot to prove, so definitely don't get in his way. He's going to be an asset day one for Kalispell. Now, that guy right there, number 6, we're going to be coming back to him a few years down the road. He's a sophomore right now. His name is Reno Springs, and man, he's going to be a really good back to use in the passing game. Very good at receiving, has some decent speed as well. We're going to keep an eye out on him, and I think a few years down the road, we're going to be talking about him and maybe have him on our recruiting radar. But right now, I'm taking a look at a school down in California, Our Lady of the Valley, a Catholic prep school down in California with this guy right here at quarterback, number 7. See him rolling out right here? I don't think we're going to have a chance at him, but we do need to keep an eye on him because he's going to be heavily recruited going into next year. His name is Jesse Heikkinen. Plays a little bit like Aaron Rodgers. He's very, very good in the pocket, can show a lot of poise, but he is at his best when he is able to roll out and throw. Watch here. Rolls out to his right as he felt the pressure from the end, throws it into the only space that makes sense right there for his receiver. I mean, that's a big gap. In high school, you're going to see a big gap like that, but he makes sure to place that ball right in the breadbasket, easy catch, and a touchdown. They have a very good receiver there who actually made the touchdown on that play. His name is Centarius Phillips. You actually see him on this play on that streak pattern going down the sideline, a throw there by Heikkinen that's right on the money. Centarius Phillips, also not a guy we're going to be looking at. They have a very good tight end, though, that I want us to take a look at and maybe see if we can pick up right here on the shovel play. Number 22, his name is Chad Sweezy. Shows very, very good route running. You're going to see it here on the crossing pattern, slant, right across the middle of the field, and then watch here on the double move. Watch him take the linebacker with him to the right, and the second he cuts back in, he's already beat his man, and look at the separation in space. He's a little short at 6'1", but I think that he shows enough poise and great route running that he can be a great complement to someone like Castillo and make big plays for this Kalispell offense. We're going to see him here on another play in a minute. Just watch him here. Here he's lined up with a safety. Immediately cuts in. Gets the inside leverage. Safety's way too late to make a play on him. And he's into the end zone. Touchdown. Watch it here. Down the sideline. Gets that 1 foot in bounds. And then here in the end zone, catching it in the rain. I think he's going to be a great asset. That's the guy that I think we should immediately take a look at if we want to help improve the offense again and get this passing game going. And that's only a taste of what next year will have to offer. I actually still want to go to the Jean-Charles Family Football Camp this coming summer. There is one guy there who is going to be a senior next year at Kalispell, has reliable hands. I know that's been a problem for us there on offense in terms of receivers not catching balls. He doesn't necessarily have breakaway speed or anything like that, but he could be a reliable possession receiver. We'll talk a little bit more about him coming into the start of next year when I actually get to go to the camp. And don't worry, there are plenty of schools on my radar, so there's going to be a lot of players for you to see. Signing off for now. Be sure to talk again come preseason.
After watching those highlights, I really cannot wait to get Ja'Cory Day on the field and craft a role for him in this offense I'm trying to build. So let's go through this past season now for Kalispell, and in this schedule you see mostly close scores, and there were a few that got out of hand. The Oregon State game and then Colorado State. Those were the two where we didn't really have a chance. And also the game against New Mexico was pretty tough, 42-24. But we had a chance to win most of the games that we ended up losing. And I was shocked when we didn't win a single one of our out-of-conference games. I was really concerned at that point, starting 0-4, but we eventually rebounded, scoring victories over San Jose State, then Nevada, and almost getting the win over San Diego State. That was one of our late game collapses, but we got a win against Air Force, had a chance against Hawaii. Again, late game collapses, a lot of conservative play cost us at the end of games, and I think going away from that aggressive mentality a little bit and trying to play safer down the stretch was a bad move. While we only had one more win this year than in Season 1, I do think that we made a lot of improvements this year, and if you go back to Season 1, there were a lot more games that we weren't in. We were in all but 3 games this year, basically, whereas last year that wasn't the case. Now, obviously, we have to get the job done and win more games, but another improvement was that we won 2 more games than last year in conference. This year, our primary quarterback was Marquise Walker, who passed for 13 touchdowns and 15 interceptions. I thought he played pretty well down the stretch, and he had really good games this year. However, I thought he was a very hot and cold quarterback, where his good games were Actually really good, but his bad games were almost unplayable. His accuracy was so sporadic. We had Sammy Hawthorne lead the backfield this year, as he is now the career or season record holder in rushing yards for Kalispell. Average did go down this year, but there were many more carries, and he had 2 more carries than last year of over 20 yards. With less touchdowns, only 1 touchdown all season for Sammy, partially because the goal line carries went to Eddie Benson. He ended up with 952 yards of offense, which is pretty good. And he definitely became a fan favorite and one of the more reliable players on offense. Walker added 5 touchdowns on the ground with 335 yards. Who knows how much that actually is if you negate the sack yardage. Then there's Albert Green, who had 38 carries, 202 yards, and a score. And Eddie Benson, who had the goal line work, 3 touchdowns for him. Receiving, of course, Donnie Castillo was the player I hyped up all offseason. And then into week 1, when he got his chance to be the day 1 starter, he led the team in receptions by far with 68, 732 yards, and 3 touchdowns. While his hands can be inconsistent, Donnie was the playmaker that this team definitely needed. And we still have a lot of work to do with our passing game, but Castillo really elevated things and proved to be a really good catch and run threat, actually, because of how many tackles he can break. Sonny Archer eventually overtook Troy Evans as one of our primary starting receivers, and Evans had a lot of drops this year. Does it show it on here? Yes, 10 drops for him, 9 for Donnie Castillo, although on many more targets. So if you look at drops per target, obviously Evans on 31 catches, that's a lot more alarming of a rate. But Archer was more productive, more reliable, and also was a pretty good returner for us. Then there was Everett Whitfield, who was no longer a starter, but still played quite a bit and led us in touchdown receptions. Probably did not have as many receptions, though, as he should have. We also got some production from Tyler Adams and Kendall Caldwell, and a few more down the board. On the offensive line, our main weaknesses so far have been the lack of pass blocking tackles, and our left tackle Antoine Coe led us in sacks given up, and the right tackle Stuart Andrews was right behind him. So next year we have to find a new starting tackle and hopefully strengthen our pass blocking. But one bright spot this year was the run blocking of Norris Medlock, who opened up many a running lane for our backs this year and led to some really good runs. Defensively, we still have a lot of work to do, but Marcus Calhoun had another strong season for us, 100 tackles, an interception, plus a sack. And James Watson, for a stretch of games, like 2 or 3 games, he was maybe the best player on our defense, but he was quiet down the stretch and wasn't making as many plays. But when he had those really good games, it looked like we had a star on our hands. I thought TJ Garner had a decent season overall. He's one of our better defenders, I would say. Dante Clark defends the end zone pretty well, 2 interceptions this year, but only 5 as a team. I want that number to rise, obviously. For sacks, Brock Schultz got 9, and he is a very streaky player. When he's on, but sometimes you don't hear from him for a few weeks. Dorian Jordan, 4 sacks. Jeremiah Grant, 3 sacks. Garner had 2, and 1 for a handful of other players. Overall, our defense still has a lot of room for improvement. We have to shed blocks better. We have to get pass rush and start contesting more passes. Okay, how about the awards now? All-American First Team, and there are no Kalispell Warhawks on this list. Not a major surprise there. On the second team, we scroll down. Anybody here? Yes, Marcus Calhoun, second team All-American, so congrats to him. He is definitely one of our most reliable and consistent players. I think he only had really 1 bad game this year that I thought. Then freshman All-American. We did have a couple of freshmen play, but Donnie Castillo was not a freshman All-American, and Sonny Archer was a freshman All-American as a kick returner. How about all conference here, as we have nobody on the offensive side, but Marcus Calhoun, first team all conference at middle linebacker, and then Keith Britton at kicker and Sonny Archer at returner. How about second team? Still not seeing the offense represented. I'm surprised Donnie Castillo didn't get anything on here. I mean, he was more productive than this. How about defense? TJ Garner and Otis Frazier team up for second team all-conference honors. And that is it for the All-American and All-Conference. And then for the big awards here, as I'm not really sure Kalispell is going to have anybody competing for these, although Marcus Calhoun is fourth here in the Bednarik Award. Maybe as a senior he has a chance to take it home if he has a good productive season. I do want to see the Mackey Award winner though and just see, nope, no Donnie Castillo here. Where's Donnie? We can't find him on any of these lists. And I'm not sure there's going to be anybody else on any of these. In Week 7, Brock Schultz was the Mountain West Conference Defensive Player of the Week when he had 4 sacks against Nevada. Like I said, when he's on, he's really on his game. But through the rest of the season, I'm not seeing any other awards. How about bowl results here as we'll check on the Mountain West teams. Air Force loses theirs to Southern Florida. New Mexico lost theirs. I thought they'd win this one actually, but Oregon beats them 41-28. Then Colorado State beats FIU pretty big here, 33-14. We have some pretty good teams in our conference. Missed Boise State here as they lost to Marshall 21-17. And your national championship winner is Clemson as they went a perfect 14-0 this season. And they are the top team going into next year. Obviously, look at all the scoring here from Artavis Scott, 3 touchdowns. He was the player of the week for this week, so I assume he was the national championship MVP. And then the other big bowls here look like this. Washington over Connecticut. I thought Washington would play in the national championship, but they lost the Pac-12 title to UCLA, it would appear. When it comes to offense in the Mountain West, we had actually an average to an above average offense in terms of yardage anyway. We had the 5th best passing offense in yards, and then for rushing, we were the worst. When it came to scoring, we were in the bottom 4 here at 20.9, an improvement of 2 points per game this year. Last year, the offense only produced 21 touchdowns, and this year they produced 26, so a little bit of improvement, but not huge. If you look at points allowed, we again had the worst defense in the Mountain West this year, but in Season 1, we actually allowed 446 points, so at least improvement there. We had 25 sacks this year compared to 20 last year, but we did have less takeaways, only 9 compared to 12 in Year 1. In terms of red zone success, it was actually very similar to last year. In Season 1, we had 33 trips. This year, we had 32. In Season 1, we had 15 touchdowns, 13 field goals. This year, we had 15 touchdowns, 14 field goals. We just had a better scoring percentage, but did not get the touchdown boost I was hoping for. Defensively, the numbers stay about the same in terms of touchdowns to field goals allowed. So despite a tough season for us, I am very excited to see this team heading into Year 3, especially with some new faces from hopefully a very impactful recruiting class that could pay dividends very early for us, with players like Ja'Cory Day and Roscoe Sheridan probably playing very often as true freshmen. We're only graduating, like 9 players this year, so a majority of our players are still sticking around, still developing, so I'm very excited to see what this team looks like in their 3rd season when much of our core becomes seniors, including the likes of TJ Garner and Marcus Calhoun. So as we head into the offseason now, these are the players remaining on our board, and I have to figure out the ones I really want to focus on so that we can be aggressive and try to land the best players here. And I think Jared Merritt will definitely be one. He's a great pass rusher from Utah and would be a very welcome addition to our front 7. But there are a few other players here that I would need to prioritize, maybe find the 3 to 5 players that I really want to go after. And as you saw in Blackjack's update, we already have a little idea of some of the players that will be on our radar going into our 3rd season, but we have to worry about finishing up this 2nd recruiting class first, and it looks like it'll be a fairly promising one. So with that, this recap is over. I hope you all enjoyed today's video. Let me know down in the comment section what players are you looking forward to seeing next year from this recruiting class. And are there any players you want to see me focus on the remaining board? Is there like a set of 3 that you think are worth putting most of our attention into? Let me know in the comment section, and the stream will be on my channel this Saturday, 2 o'clock p.m. Central Time. Thank you all for watching. Please leave a like if you enjoyed the video. Leave your feedback below. Subscribe for plenty more Kalispell Dynasty seasons on the way. And I'll see you all next time. Have a great day.